all citizens have the same rights and responsibilities regardless of their personal differences. So that is a universal citizenship. It means daw na katatanan na citizens dapat na may same rights regardless sa ato ang personal differences at like kanang sa ato ang ethnicity, sa ato ang age, sa ato ang gender and religion or etc. So traditional ideas about citizenship emphasize that all citizens should have the same rights and responsibilities. So this principle of universality, it means that regardless of their background, every citizen is entitled to equal treatment under the law and must contribute to the society. So the idea of liberal idea. This concept is rooted in the liberal idea that there is a distinction between private and public life. Personal differences like gender, ethnicity, and religion are considered private and should not affect one's public status and standing as a citizen. So the idea of universal citizenship, this is based upon sa concept sa liberal idea. Concept of separating private life from public life. So, this means na ang things like kaning sa atong gender, sa atong ethnicity, or sa atong religion, kaya siya part siya sa atong public life, ay sa atong private life, sa atong personal life, and dapat dili siya maka-apekto sa atong status bitaw as a citizen in public. So, example ni kanang, di ba, example na think of it like this, kanang ikaw na ay different hobbies or beliefs that sa imo ang neighbors. And but dili pud pasabot na lagi na kay na different ka, na kay lahing paniniwala, na kay lahi na kanang hobbies or mga preferences nimo. Di mo pasabot it still means that you both kamong duha kay equally entitled sa same rights and responsibilities as citizens, regardless lagi sa atong preferences. So this helps, makatabang siya na this separation, it helps to create societies na everyone is treated equal, regardless sa atong personal differences. So it aims na to ensure that everyone has the same opportunities and responsibilities regardless of background. Liberalism is often seen as difference-blind, seeing the factors that distinguish people from one another as secondary, treating everyone with the same core identity as individuals and citizens. So, liberalism is often seen as a difference-blind, because it considers personal differences like gender, ethnicity, or religion kay less important, which is liberalism na secondary factor na siya. Instead, kaning sa liberalism, nag-focus na siya idea that kita ang mga tao kay na common identity as individuals and citizens. So, in liberal thinking, what unites us is mas importante daw siya than what set us apart. So, this emphasizes sa atong shared identity as citizens. So, it means that despite sa atong mga differences, we are equal sa eyes sa law of society. Next is civil rights movements, 1960s onward. So, language of universal citizenship. Disadvantaged groups such as women, ethnic minorities, and religious, gays, lesbians, and disabled people have used the language of universal citizenship to demand equal treatment and participation. So, may sa civil rights movements, these are mga groups, organizations din sila sa mga tao. Na, ang purpose niya is para madungog kung sa bitang nilang hinaing nila. Para makakontribute sila, mapaabot po sa ato ang government kung unsa ang kanang kinahanglan sa society, sa mga pahingalan sa mga tao sa society. Ani na mga group of people. Kaning mga when you say sa language of universal citizenship, dapat kani siya, it means na this language of universal citizenship means that everyone of us should have equal rights and have equal opportunities regardless sa atong differences. So na siya. So kanina mga disadvantaged groups, gigamit nila ni siya gigamit nila na dapat kitang tao kay equal ta, na dapat kitang tao natay kanang paan equal opportunities regardless na woman ba ka, remember ba ka sa kanang mga ethnic groups o kanang lahi pa yung religion, kung lahi po pwede mong gender or kanang disabled ka, regardless of that, dapat kita mga tao is natay equal rights, natay equal opportunities na ihatag sa atua. That's why since they are disadvantaged groups, kanang itong mura sila na sin nila ilang kaugalingon as second class citizen kay na-deprive sila sa ilang rights, na-deprive sila of opportunities. Kaya wala ka nang gi-underestimate lang, gina-underestimate lang lagi. Para aning sa civil rights movement para makalimat sila of equal treatment o participation sa atong society. So in this sense, the goal was to establish full citizenship for these groups, ensuring that they have the same rights and opportunities as everyone else. So ang goal aning civil rights movements kay maka-establish maka-ensure na kaning mga disadvantaged groups or kanina mga minorities groups kay dapat na sila same rights of same opportunities like how ang tanan, like how we normal people have kanang naata ng mga rights of opportunities. So kaning universal citizenship kinamjay project, which is si Iris Marion Young, championed the notion of differentiated citizenship to account for group differences, arguing that universal citizenship can imply homogeneity and may not address the needs of diverse groups. So kanang as societies mong become more diverse, gi-question na yung ba nag-question dyan nila ang kanilang sa idea sa universal citizenship, which is apil na si Iris Marion Young. So, Iris Marion Young supported the idea of differentiated citizenship to recognize and consider the differences among various groups of people. Instead daw na i-treat ang tanan as the same, Young believed that we should acknowledge and address unique needs and experiences of different groups within the society. This aims to ensure that all individuals, regardless of background or characteristics, have their specific circumstances taken into account when it comes to citizenship rights and responsibilities. That is, si Iris Marion Young, yan supportan ang idea sa different citizenship para i-recognize na ang mga tao is lahi-lahi dito og needs. Diverse na itong society. So, kita mga tao, na dito lahi-lahi na needs. Kaya of course, sa itong society, kinaman dyan lahi-lahi ng categories nila na na-involved, di ba? So, kanit siya ng mga categories ng mga tao, kaya dapat, kanang ilang needs, kaya dapat i-address niyo mo. So, from this perspective, ang traditional conception sa traditional citizenship kay Cambodia na siya'y drawbacks or na siya'y mga limitations o mga disadvantages. So, first is kanin sa homogeneity. The link between citizenship and inclusion can imply that all citizens share common interests, which is difficult to identify in diverse societies. So, homogeneity, it is when kanang mga citizens are seen to be united by an undifferentiated general will or collective interest, which is increasingly difficult to identify in modern diverse societies. So when ang citizenship ay linked siya sa inclusion, it can sometimes suggest sameness, especially when citizens are taught to share a single general will o common interest. So it can overlook or ma-maximize nila ang diverse needs and perspectives of different groups. This can lead sa mga policies na dili bitaw adequately ma-address o ang mga concerns sa marginalized communities. So example lang na kay ganing language requirements sa kaning magpa-naturalize na citizenship sa kaning country. Kaya if ang country magud kay mag-mandate siya o na dapat ang mga immigrants kay mag-pass siya o kanang English proficiency test to become citizens, and in a country, kung kanin siya, it may overlook ka ng those who speak ka ng different languages like when we say ka ng Spanish, French, Mandarin or Arabic, which is dili gyud na sila kabaluhan, di kay sila kabalo sa on pag-speak ka ng English language. This requirement can exclude marginalized communities also na walay access sa language resources. Kalitang walay access, nagka-face sila of challenges in accessing ka proper education, employment of social services, na nag-create siya of barriers sa citizenship of full participation sa atong society. So blindness to differences. So ignoring race, gender, and other group differences can lead to equal treatment being defined by the norms and values of dominant groups, perpetuating disadvantage and unequal participation for disadvantaged groups from taking full advantage of their formerly equal status. So, blindness to differences, so by ignoring factors like sa race, gender, equal treatment may be based sa standards sa dominant groups. Mas mulabaw daw itong bitaw sa mga advantaged groups sa itong society. This can uphold ka ng mga existing inequalities and limit sa full participation sa marginalized groups or sa mga disadvantaged groups sa atong society. So in this sense, this is special rights designed to address the unique needs of individuals in a specific category. This is particularly based sa biological and bodily factors like sa gender, most specifically sa women's, and sa disabilities, so rights for sa persons na may physical or mental disabilities, o sa age, sa mga earlier year. So young calls for recognition of special rights alongside universal rights. These rights apply to specific categories of people para ma-address ang unique needs, like katong sa women's, sa patong sa mga disabilities, o katong sa mga tigulang. Kani siya, these calls na dapat pina-recognize na to ang kanang needs ato ng mga tao sa society. Na dapat ang universal rights dapat na siya equivalent po na special rights for those people para makaparticipate po sila sa atong society. Diba? So like what I said, these special rights can be based on factors like sa gender, disabilities, or sa age. This special rights can be based on this can also be justified to protect the identities of a particular group or to counter the obstacles to their full participation in society. So, kani siya, gina-justify ni siya kung nakaprotect na ba din siya, kung it's either it protects those identities sa mga particular groups or it counters ba daw sa mga obstacles na kan ba daw niya, pero hindi pag-fight ba daw niya sa obstacles sa participation sa society sa para itong mga disadvantaged groups sa itong society. So this stance is commonly supported or advocated by multiculturalism. So multiculturalism, it endorses diversity based on race, ethnicity, and language. It is more a political stance than a strict doctrine. So this recognizes that people derive their identity and moral beliefs from their culture. It supports protecting and strengthening minority cultures, brings vibrancy and richness through cultural interplay, encouraging tolerance and respect for different cultures. So this mga multicultural theories, they addresses kanang political, social, o mga cultural issues arising from the diverse nature sa modern societies. This focus on communal diversity and identity-related differences. So multiculturalism, this deals with the challenges that comes from the diverse makeup of modern societies, emphasizing the variety of communities and differences in identities. So kaning mga multiculturalism is emphasized jud na daghan jud nagkalain-lain jud ang mga sa community, ang mga tao, ang mga factors, ang mga aspects. And of course, na jud differences sa communities, na exist jud ang mga differences dara. So this may be linked to age, social class, gender, or sexuality. Multiculturalism is usually associated with differences that is based on race, ethnicity, or language. So this multiculturalism, it is not only recognizes the fact sa cultural diversity, but also it holds that such differences should be respected or publicly affirmed. It practices the politics of recognition. So this multiculturalism, wala ang niya recognize ang fact na lahat ng mga diverse culture na exist within our society. But dapat, i-holds niya na dapat kanya siya ng mga differences, dapat ginarespeto siya o i-affirm publicly. Kana itong ikon sa public bitaw, dili siya dapat ikaulaw nimo sa public. Kung unsa man galing ka na kanang culture, o unsa man galing culture yung tradition na imong gibuhat. Nana. So, it practices politics of recognition. So when we say politics of recognition, it is a concept that addresses the need for acknowledging and respecting the diverse identities and cultural differences within a society. It involves acknowledging and valuing unique identities, cultures, and experiences of different groups within a society. It emphasizes the importance of respecting and affirming these differences publicly. So, historical context and examples of multiculturalism. So, this multiculturalism, it originated as a theoretical perspective during the Black consciousness movement in the 1960s sa USA. This has been influenced increasing political strength, often demonstrated through ethno-cultural nationalism of long-standing cultural groups worldwide. Additionally, the cultural and ethnic diversity in many Western societies has further shaped the development of multiculturalism. Like in USA, so although ang USA kay nagka-pioneer siya sa multicultural society, nani siya ito ng movement na nahitabo sa kanangkoan sa 1960s, which is it gained momentum with the rise sa Black consciousness. Tama? This space kay largely concerned sa establishing bitaw sa Black pride, as we all know when you say USA, na ay discrimination between white and Black Americans. So this is often through reestablishing a distinctive African identity and overlap in many ways with post-colonialism. So it was a response sa systematic racism ng mga races dito na nag-exist within sa USA, and giin niya na ma-empower ang karapatan sa Black Americans through self-awareness of cultural pride. So this involves reconnecting with the African roots and celebrating African traditions, history, o sa ilang mga values. So when you say post-colonialism, this is academic study of the cultural, political, and economic impacts of colonialism of imperialism. This focuses sa aftermath sa colonial rule and the ongoing struggles sa identity and autonomy and formerly colonized society, which is nakakandili siya sa kanang di ba? Sa mga Black people. Dito, nag-struggle sila o sa ilang identity o kanang karapatan nila na mo-control sa ilang freedom. So, another both the Black consciousness movement and post-colonialism aim to reclaim and affirm sa identities na na-oppress ani na mga groups. So, they sought to challenge and deconstruct sa dominant narratives na i-impose sa mga colonial o mga racist systems. So, next is sa Australia. Australia, they officially embraced multiculturalism in the 1970s. They acknowledged the growing influence sa Asian cultures and a concept known as Asianization. This Asianization is a process of becoming Asian in character culture. Ilang i-adapt ang culture o kanaang character sa mga Asians. This can involve the adoption of Asian cultural practices sa economic models of social norms sa Asian countries. Muna ang gikon sa Australia. Next is sa New Zealand. They link to the recognition of Maori culture in forging a national identity. So, mayon kag Maori culture, this refers sa indigenous culture sa mga Maori people sa New Zealand. This encompasses their language, their customs, traditions, art, and spiritual beliefs. So, this plays a significant role in shaping the national identity sa New Zealand, and is recognized and celebrated as an integral part sa ilang country's heritage, silang history sa New Zealand. So, next is Canada. Multiculturalism is linked to reconciling differences between French-speaking Quebec and the English-speaking majority, as well as recognizing the capability rights of indigenous Inuit peoples. So, kaning sa Canada, ang ilang multiculturalism ay tinik nila na dapat na ay reconciling, na dapat magkasundo ang parties between sa mga French-speaking o sa mga English-speaking majority, as well as ilang gina-recognize o gina-uphold ang rights sa mga indigenous Inuit people sa Canada. So next is UK and Western Europe. So multiculturalism sa UK, ang Western Europe, this acknowledges the presence of sizable Black and Asian communities and strives to eliminate obstacles that hinder their complete involvement sa atong society. So, efforts to reconcile citizenship with cultural diversity often focuses on minority rights, which are special measures to accommodate national and ethnic differences. So, in the efforts na ma-reconcile ang citizenship, of course, this cultural diversity, this often focuses on the minority groups sa ilang special measures para ma-accommodate na ang national differences of mga ethnic differences. So, Will Klimplika identifies na siya identify na three kinds of minority rights, which is self-government, polyethnic rights, and representation rights. When we say self-government rights, these are primarily associated with national minorities. These are groups that are territorially concentrated, possess a shared language, and have a distinct cultural identity. These rights involve granting political autonomy or territorial jurisdiction to national minorities. This means that these groups have the authority to govern themselves and make decisions about their own affairs. So kaya sa self-government rights, i-associate siya sa national minorities na dapat, kaya siya na mga groups, dapat na siya own autonomy, na siya karapatan na mag-govern sa iyang kaugalingan o mag-make decisions sa ilang own affairs. This often involves a devolution of political power to political units controlled by the national minority. This can be achieved through kanang federalism, where kanang ang political power daw kaya dinadistribute siya among sa different levels sa government. So, kaning self-government rights, i-involve siya sa devolution of power na dapat, kanina daw siya, makuha daw siya, ma-achieve niya siya through federalism. Kay through federalism man daw, kay dari man daw, kay gikuan man daw niya, na daw kanang ginadistribute daw ang power among different members or different levels sa government. So, right to succession. In some cases, self-government rights may extend the right of succession, allowing national minorities to seek sovereign independence and choose. Dapat kanito daw ng mga sa self-government rights, kaning mga national minorities kay napo daw sila karapatan na musik og sovereignty o kanang independence if ganahan jud sila na sila jud mismo ang mag-govern sa ilang government. So examples of this include sa kanang Native Americans sa USA, the Inuits in Canada, the Maoris in New Zealand, and the Aborigines in Australia. These groups have a meaningful way of life that spans various human activities and are characterized by a shared cultural heritage. Next is polyethnic rights. This polyethnic rights, this help ethnic and mga religious minorities para ma-maintain nilang cultural distinctiveness, such as legal examples for that. So sa polyethnic rights, kani sila nakatabang ni siya para ang mga religious minorities o mga ethnic groups kay makatabang ni siya para ma-maintain bitaw nilang ilang cultural, ilang distinct culture. Such as na sila kanang exemption, di ba? Ma-exempt sila sa mga cultural practices na which is kanang bitong against na sa ilang ginatuuhan silang tradition. Inano. So, example of this is kanang exemption sa mga Jews and mga Muslims from kaning animal slaughtering laws, which is kanang brutality kay bawal most sa mga Muslim o kanang mga Indians, mga countries bitaw kay bawal jud sila mo mga animals kanang mupatay, bawal sila ng mga torture sa mga animals inana. So of course kani pong sa exception sa sick man from wearing motorcycle helmets. Kay kani diri sa ila kay bawal man sa ila kanang bitang na sila kanang like kanang bitaw kanang mga law na kanang dapat jud mag-wear jud og kanang helmets sa motor. And kay pang exemption sa mga girls from school dress codes. So that's why we can see na kanang sa atong mga Muslim citizens ko sa atong mga co-individuals na mga part sila sa Muslims, of course, they are allowed to wear those kanang hijabs nila. And allowed jud po sila na kanang mag-wear of dresses na appropriate sa ilaang sa ilaang traditions. Di ba? Na exemption. For example, makita na nato mas kindari sa ato ang sa ato ang school na kanang of course hindi sila ginapugos na mag-wear atong mga dresses na dili jud allowed sa ilaha. So next is kanang representation rights. This aims to address the underrepresentation sa mga minority groups in education and senior positions in political and public life. This often through positive discrimination. When you say positive discrimination, kani siya na concept is nag-refer sa practice of favoring individuals belonging to groups that have been historically underrepresented or disadvantaged. This can occur in various contexts such as employment, education, and government bodies. So when you say representation rights, from the word itself na representation, kani siya, this addresses sa underrepresentation sa mga minority groups para maipaglaban ang ilang karapatan as a citizen. This is to address and reduce inequalities by providing opportunities sa mga minority groups that are kanang marginalized and underrepresented. It aims to create a more diverse and inclusive environment by ensuring that ang minority groups na po'y better access sa opportunities. So, kani pong multiculturalism na po siya ka ng criticisms o kani pong sa minority rights. So, ang critics, they argue that multiculturalism emphasizes divisions among people rather than what unites them. It potentially weakening national or civic unity sa particularism versus sa universalism. Ay, nag-focus naman daw siya sa mga minority rights and ma-overshadow po daw lagi ang mga majority interest. So sa conservative view po, mga conservative views argue that multicultural societies are inherently fractured and conflict-ridden, requiring shared values and a common culture or for stability. So para sa mga conservative view, they argues that ang kanadang societies kay kung siya fractured, na nadyo'y conflict na nag-exist within sa society. That's why it is required ang shared values o common culture para daw ma-stabilize o na ay peace sa ato ang society. So ang leftist view, they highlights the tension between diversity and solidarity. They suggest that multicultural societies may have weaker self-welfare states and lower political participation. So they suggest that the presence of diverse cultural groups and focusing on diversity kay na-weaken daw niya ang social unity. It strained bitang social cohesion, and this leads sa weaker welfare systems and nag-reduce din siya sa political engagement. Liberal multiculturalism. This is based on freedom and toleration, allowing individuals to choose their beliefs and practices. So kani siya, of course, in the term liberal, of course, they conjugate freedom. Diba? Medyo freedom dira. They allow jud sa mga individuals na choose sa ilang kaugalingong beliefs o practices na ganahan. So, critic of liberalism, they argue that liberalism only supports cultural diversity within certain limits and does not fully endorse mga non-liberal practices. So, other questions, whether kung recognizing special and minority rights which leads to diversity is compatible with maintaining a liberal political system. So kaning ang uban ko dilang give kuan the question whether ba daw na kani ang especially mga minority rights kay nag-leads ba daw dito siya sa kanang deep diversity kanang sa mga deep na pagkalahi which is compatible with kini siya para ma-maintain na nato ang liberal political system. So respect for individual autonomy. So ang core principle man sa liberalism, this is based on the respect sa individual autonomy. Meaning that individuals should have the freedom na dito daw tayo freedom na mag-make dito ang own choices within ourselves. So, liberals find it challenging na i-tolerate ang kanang cultural practices na illiberal o kanang intolerant, such as criminal circumcision because these practices conflict with liberal values of human rights and liberal. So, ang mga liberal po, kay challenges para sa ilaan na i-tolerate ng mga practices na illiberal o mga intolerance na ito siya kay nagmagod siya ng mga practices kaya na create na dito siya o conflict within sa ilang liberal values sa human rights o sa civil liberties. So, napoy siya selective endorsement sa minority rights, which is representation of self-government rights. So, liberals tend to support these rights because they align with the principle of self-determination, allowing minority groups to govern themselves and have representation in political processes. Kani sa mga minority rights, kani mga liberals, gisuportahan nila ni kani bitang representation of self-government rights. Kahit na-align mo gud sila ilang prinsipyo, silang principles sa self-determination na i-allow nila ang minority groups na dapat i-govern ng ilang own selves and dapat nandiyon sila yung representation in political processes. Kaya sa liberal views na dapat ang mga tao kay nandiyon tayo ng own freedom. We have our own choices and we should govern ourselves and doing actions and practices. Next is, ano po, ilang pong ikaw ng polyethnic rights. These rights which nag-accommodate of cultural distinctiveness through legal or civic adjustments. For example, kaning sa exceptions sa law are more controversial. While they have preserved cultural identities, they can undermine a unified set of civic political values. So, ilan pong support ning sa polyethnic rights which nag-accommodate siya of cultural distinctiveness through sa legal o mga civic adjustments which is katong example sa laws na katong mention ako na nadyo yung mga examples na ang certain groups kay na sila exemption sa law which kay kon mo siya opposite kay contradicting mo siya sa existing laws of traditions na ilang gibilib. Radical multiculturalism, positive tolerism. The advocates for full public recognition of diverse cultures, including non-liberal and non-Western beliefs. This is linked sa minority rights and promoting sa social justice para sa marginalized groups. So kanip napon siya katong sa France, napoy ban sa mga religious dress o symbols in schools na nag-aim siya na dapat na preservation within sa church o sa state. It is a core principle sa liberal secularism and to counter kanang general gender inequality, particularly related sa wearing sa mga Muslim girls sa kanang hijab. So, ang key figures aning multiculturalism kay si Charles Taylor. Charles Taylor is a philosopher, is a key figure in the discussion sa politics of recognition. He argued that recognition is essential, it is vital sa human needs, and that ang misrecognition daw ani ng mga human needs kay conflict and significant na makapay siya of harm. So So, kani si Charles Taylor kay Canadian political philosopher which focus on the construction of the self. So, iyang key ideas kay ang Taylor's communitarian views sees individuals as embodied within their cultures. He argues for the politics of recognition, believing that individuals need positive recognition from others and that cultures have unique and authentic essences. So, iyang i-argue na kanang dapat na politics of recognition sa mga tao, depending sa kung unsa tong ilang culture o ilang traditions. Kay ni-believe man siya na ang kanang cultures man jud ay unique o authentic essences in every individual. Liberal societies, he supports the idea na sa liberal societies na nag-guarantee og kanang basic freedoms. Yang gi-support ang sa liberal views sa liberal societies kay para sa iya apod ang liberal societies kay nag-guarantee daw siya og kanang freedoms para sa mga tao. So, next is Will Klimlicka. He is a Canadian political theorist who explores the reconciliation of liberalism with community and cultural membership. Ang iyang key ideas, it promotes multicultural citizenship, emphasizing that cultures are valuable and it provides individuals with meaningful and meaning and identity. He differentiates between the rights of national minorities who may have self-government rights and ethnic groups formed through immigration who are entitled to ethnic rights. Next is a Bacon Harrod. Yung background, he is a UK political theorist and former chair of the Commission for Racial Equality. Yung key ideas, he defends kanang pluralistic views sa cultural diversity, critiquing liberal multiculturalism. He argues that ang human nature kay gishape na siya sa cultural groups, reflecting sa complexity, sa complicated sa mga diverse cultures. So in summary, kani siya na mga theories, mga theories kay they contributed they have kanang mga significant contribution in understanding sa multiculturalism and sa politics of recognition, each bringing kanang mga unique perspectives and how culture and identity dapat makashape siya sa individuals and societies. That's all, and thank you.